Welcome back, everybody. We are here with the UConn Huskies head coach Geno Auriemma. We are going to begin with questions for Coach. We'll start with Carl and then make our way around the room. Carl's to our right, Coach.
Hey, Carl.
Hi. Carl Adam at Curse Media. Geno, the last time you were in this national championship game was sort of the ending of a very interesting season with the adversity and health and all the other stuff. You had lost Dorka in the Elite Eight that year, and then you wake up to find out on that Sunday morning that players on your team weren't feeling well. Can you just recall what you felt, thought what's next, what was going on, and, does the players that played that day, did they learn anything from that that'll help them tomorrow?
Oh, well, that would be only Paige, if I remember correctly. That's left from that team. AZ played like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and was vomiting all morning. So Paige is the only player here that actually played in that game. And I remember going out to the game, talking to our coaches before we, went into the locker room. I said, one of two things is going to happen tonight. We're either going to win a close game, maybe in double overtime or something like that, because South Carolina doesn't play great, or we're going to get blown out. This is not going to be one of those, we lost by 10. And I was right. 5 minutes into the game, we got blown out. So, yeah, you have to show up with enough players that at least you have a chance. But just showing up isn't going to get it done for you. I think you have to come to this particular game feeling like you have all your bases covered, and then at the same time you have to play exceptionally well. Nobody's going to lose the game tomorrow night. Somebody has to go out and win it, and that's really, really difficult to do, to beat a really, really good team. And as I've been saying this whole tournament, we have a very difficult task tomorrow night, and so do they. And that's the way it's supposed to be on championship night.
We're going to stay to our right, do a little bit of a triangle. Howard, Doug, Nancy.
Geno, Howard, Matt Dalton, it's good to see you. When you look at what South Carolina has done, they've reached their 5th consecutive Final Four. There's a handful of programs. It's you, it's Stanford who's done it. You've had the opportunity to have an elite top-level rivalry with Pat Summitt in Tennessee, and now here, South Carolina and Dawn. And I'm just wondering what you took from the rivalry with Tennessee and in what ways you feel like it's informed the way you think about that. Do you take a step back? Do you think about it as something larger for the game, and just what your perspective is on it?
Probably not. I think I used up all my big picture crap with Tennessee and UConn, Geno and Pat. That got old awfully fast, and I thought I was over it till then it became UConn Notre Dame. We played how many times in 3 years?
15 in 4 years.
We played 15 times in 4 years. Okay, we're in the same league. We played twice, conference championship, NCAA tournament. We go both teams undefeated in the national championship game. Blah, 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 blah. Then Muffet loses her mind about some crap. I don't know what the hell she was talking about. So then that became like, I just want to go coach and coach my team and see what happens. And then the rivalry supposedly wasn't a rivalry at the time. We play South Carolina because, I have a lot of respect for Dawn. We start playing. First 5 years we played, every game was a blowout for us. And then all of a sudden, things changed like you knew they would. Not going to stay like that forever. So the more things change, the more they stay the same. Now here we are, and it's almost like a recreation of those two things going on, where two teams are somewhat sort of constantly in each other's way, although we haven't been able to provide the kind of, we beat them Paige's freshman year, but we haven't been able to provide the kind of punchback until this year, that, I hope that rivalry demands and needs. Going forward, if it stays like this, I'm not going to be here for that long, but if it stays like this for the next, 5, 6, 7 years like the other two did, then that's not a good thing for women's basketball. That's not a good thing for women's basketball. I mean, I hope one of us is here every year. It's like anything. Like in the Super Bowl, you really don't want two teams that no one's ever heard of, and you don't want two 5 seeds playing for the national championship. Everybody loves, the favorite, and everybody loves a villain. So, a lot of times over the years, I've provided both.
Hey, Geno, Doug Feinberg, the AP. Along those lines, I mean, you've had a difficult last few years since COVID hit personally and with this team. Does the run you guys have made this year and the success you've had and the health of everybody reinvigorate you a little more? And you said you won't be here in 5, 6, 7 years, but maybe want to hear a little longer knowing that this team is healthy. You have Sarah as a really good freshman. Like, you might want to stick around a little longer because you're being vitalized?
Yeah, I mean, I would say since Paige's freshman year, maybe even a year before that, I've quit 5 times every year. I'll go to practice, and on my way home, I go, that's it, I'm not going to practice tomorrow. I'm going to call in sick for life. I'm out, And they go, well, no, you can't do that. You have to have a, victory tour and go around and get, rocking chairs from every team in the league. I said, no, I'm out. And then, come to practice the next day, and things will get better. Then 3 weeks later, I quit again, And then the NCAA tournament comes, and I'll go, that's it, I'm done. And then this year, this happens every year. Somehow, some way, we get here, except for 1 year, which Paige didn't play in. So, and then on the way here, I go, man, I could do this for another 4 or 5 years. So, yeah, this ruins my life coming here every year. So, like, how many more times can we do it? I don't know. But runs like this make you still feel relevant. You still have an impact. Kids still respond. Our coaching staff is really, really good at what they do. And I'm fortunate enough to coach great kids who want to win for each other. There's not a lot of drama on our team with all that NIL nonsense. And, guys are halfway in the portal, halfway out during the season. So I'm very, really, really fortunate of what I have, and because it stays like that, it's very, very difficult to walk away from something like this. Very difficult.
Nancy.
Geno, Nancy Armour, USA Today Sports. How would you describe what Paige has meant to UConn, and just knowing the special relationship that you have with her, how much do you want to see her go out as a champion?
Again, if you're in this for the first time, you really don't have the appreciation for what it really is. If you're fortunate, like I've been, what that feels like when someone who's given their whole heart and soul to your program walks off the court in their last game of their career with a national championship, because I've been there. It started with Rebecca and Pam Weber, walking off as seniors, winning a national championship. And you see the effect that it has on their life. And Paige doesn't need anything to change her life, to make her life better. She's got a life that most people would dream about. But for someone who's invested so much into the University of Connecticut, the community, the team, her teammates, and loves the game so much, she deserves to go out as a national champion. But so do a bunch of kids at South Carolina that have done the exact same thing. And that's the beauty of it. Only one of those is going to get to be able to do that. And what I want for Paige is the same thing that Dawn wants for, her kids. And so that's why whoever doesn't get the opportunity to do that, it stings, it hurts, it's going to take a long time to get over that. But at the same time, not going to be your defining moment.
Go to the back. You can raise your hand.
Hi, Emma Baccellieri, Sports Illustrated. Geno, you said last night that you didn't think they had made any mistakes, that you were humbled by how they had played. Do you ever remember saying that after a game? And have you discovered any mistakes in the last 12 hours?
No, I never said that before. I think any of the teams that I brought here, and I brought some great teams, but this team, you have to lie to them once in a while. You know, you can't tell them the truth all the time because they start to get down. Oh, my God, coach doesn't like us. You know, it's that. So every once in a while, you got to tell them they're perfect and fantastic and all that good stuff. And then you got to text them after and make sure, are you still fantastic? You know, after I said you're fantastic, you know, that kind of stuff. But last night I was pretty close to being right, that the goals that we set for ourselves, this is what we're going to do. They completely bought into that, completely did it in a way that I would say, how could we do that better? And I don't know that we could. You know, every decision that we wanted them to make, they came as close to getting that many right as they possibly could. You know, our big guys, you know, our post players, here's how we want you to try to guard, you know, their post players. And they came about as close as you can possibly come to doing that. You know, our guards, here's how we want you guys to guard the perimeter players. Here's what we want to do offensively. These are the shots we want to get. And a lot of times the first time we played UCLA last year, we had the same goals and we accomplished none of them. So that's why, you know, a game like last night on the biggest stage in their biggest moment, for them to come up, you know, that close to that, yeah, that was pretty special.
Michael?
Thank you. Coach, I know being with UConn, people never feel sorry for UConn, right? But if you go back the last several years with Morgan Williams' shot and Enrique's shot, the moving screen last year, you've had some real heartbreak in the Final Four. And I wonder for you personally, even though you've won 11, does some of that heartbreak of the last 9 years make this chance even more special to you because you've had those frustrations?
Yeah, but I got to tell you something. I don't look at those 2 years, the Mississippi State game, the Notre Dame game, I don't look at those two as heartbreaking frustrations. Now, I would have if I didn't make two decisions in both of those games that I think have more to do with us losing than those two buzzer beaters. So that's the frustration that I take away from that. Why do you keep screwing it up for these guys? You know, and people are like shocked when I tell them I've lost more Final Fours for my team than they have, because coaches make decisions about what to do with their team. And if you make the right decision, you win. But how do you know what the right decision is? If you win. And, you know, so those two shots, I think, were the result of, you know, you made two bad decisions and they capitalized on it. So nothing's bothered me since those two games, except that we can't show up here with a full team. That's bothered me more than anything else. So the fact that we're here now and we sort of kind of have a chance to be able to manipulate the game a little bit better than we had before, that's rewarding. That makes up for all the heartache and all the, you know, trauma and tribulations that, you know, we have had to go through since those two guys graduated.
We'll stay to the back. If you could raise your hand in the blue.
Grace Rayner with The Athletic. Sarah mentioned a few minutes ago that she was a little surprised how smooth her transition to college basketball was. I'm curious what
I'm surprised she actually said that much.
When was the first moment you realized what she might be capable of for you guys as a true freshman?
Probably when I saw her in high school, you know. I saw her do some things that I hadn't seen any kid that age do in a long, long, long time. And I just thought to myself, and Jamel was, you know, very instrumental in it, said if this can transfer even half of it to when she's at UConn, we've got something pretty special. I didn't know that it would happen that fast. I thought it would take some time, but it clicked right from the very beginning. And so there was no doubt in my mind that we enter the NCAA tournament, and I'm worried about, man, I hope she doesn't act like a freshman. She hasn't acted like a freshman. She hasn't acted her age since I saw her in 9th and 10th grade. So I'm not surprised. Before I leave here, though, I do have to say this, and not just because it's women's basketball, but I've been to these Final Fours for 24 years. This is the most women I've ever seen at a press conference since I started this 40 years ago, and I'm just really, really proud of you all. Really.
With that being said, we'll shift to our left-hand side in the orange.
Jennifer Porty from Let's Talk Women in Basketball. How is this team different from your previous championship teams?
Well, they're all different from each other. We probably I think we have less experience throughout the lineup than some of the other ones. Jenna's playing in her first college season. Sarah's playing her first college season. You know, KK and Ash are in their second year. Caitlin Chan, this is her first time on this stage. You know, being at Princeton, she got to do a lot, but never to this point. So I guess it's different that there's so many young players. We have had teams that were young, but we also, you know, they also had, you know, and significant older players. Paige is the only upperclassman that's been through this for 4 years. So it's different that we rely so much on our perimeter game, and not as much on our interior game. A lot of the teams that we've come here with that have won championships were more well-balanced, I think. We had the ability, you know, we come here with Rebecca and Kara, we're going to score. We come here with Stephanie Dolson, Tina Charles, Stewie, we're going to score. And I don't know that we have that right now. So it's different. It's much different in that respect.
We're going to our back row.
Hi, Geno. Rachel Bachman at the Wall Street Journal. We're entering an era where it's never been more important how much revenue a given sport can generate, right? The rev share era. What more do you think can be done to maximize revenues for women's basketball, and in particular from this tournament?
Charge more, like everybody else does, for everything. Is that fair? No, but that's one way to do it. To maybe reevaluate how we sell our product to the media. What are we really worth? Let's go find out. You know, can we stand alone? For years and years and years, we've been packaged with all the other Olympic sports, so to speak, in one big chunk. So can we completely separate ourselves and say, what are we worth to you? And it may not be to the exact people that are doing the games right now. It might be to somebody else, because there's so many more choices. There's people here representing, you know, outlets that didn't exist, you know, 10 years ago. We need to explore all that. And we need to be able to think outside the box. And again, I keep saying this, and I don't want to come across as, you know, somebody who's ungrateful and all that, because I've benefited so much from, and people know me. And those that don't, I don't really give a damn, because they'll never understand what I'm talking about anyway. But I do think that sometimes we are being held hostage by tradition. This is the way we've always done it. It's easy, it's simple, it's uncomplicated, you know? But why? You know, why not go out there and look at what other people are doing and take their best practices? Because it can make us money, and it could put us at a higher profile. And we certainly have the players that can handle that profile, and there's going to be more of them coming along. We don't want to shortchange them. We don't want to sell them short, you know? So I do know one way that they should lose money, and that's to make the experience even better for the players than it is right now. So you shouldn't be trying to make more money by shortchanging their experience. I don't think there's anybody on the guy's side in the committee's going, you know, I think we could save a couple of dollars if we do this. I don't think they worry about that. And sometimes you got to spend a lot of money to make way more money. But in the end of the day, what are we doing for the players that makes their experience the best ever? Because the best ever experience that you make for them, if you spoil the players off the court, they're going to spoil you on the court. That's how we treat our program. If you spoil us on the court, we will spoil you off the court. Let's work together on that.
Shifting to our left, gentleman with the glasses.
Hey, Coach T. Baker with the Next. You've known Dawn Staley as a player, as a coach, in USA basketball, kind of just seeing her emergence to the top of the sport. Can you just talk about, her character, who she is as a person, but also how your relationship with her has evolved over time?
Yeah, it's quite different, obviously, than my journey, growing up, she played at a real high level at UVA. I coached at UVA. So we have that in common. She was a multi gold medal winning Olympic player. I coached those guys at the Olympics, so we have that in common. And I think that she started off her career having to prove that she could coach at the college level at a time when it wasn't easy to do that, and at a school like Temple where it wasn't easy to do that. And all through it all, she's accomplished things that are very, very hard, And so to be where she is right now and to have done it in the way that she's done it, I have a lot of respect for her. I have tremendous respect for her, knowing her, how she grew up and how hard she fought to get to where she is today. She was on my staff at the Olympics, so we got to spend a little bit of time together there. And you don't get here by accident. You get here by being committed and true to who you are. And she doesn't try to be anything she's not. And she's all in on who she is and what she wants to do. And that's why they keep coming back here.
Alexa.
Alexa Philbut, ESPN. I have two, if I could. The first one.
Just due to time, we actually can only take one.
All right, we can do that.
But I'll answer it twice if you want.
It wasn't that long ago you guys lost to Tennessee. It was really a big turning point in your season.
Yeah.
What do you feel like it took, or like how did the team get from that game, that experience, to being able to peak at the right time? I know you have to. That's the goal every year at UConn, but like for this particular team, how did you get them to get to this spot?
I think that Tennessee game, in a different way than, let's say, the USC game or the Notre Dame game earlier in the year, I think that USC game exposed some things in our team that only playing in that environment and being exposed is going to affect some changes. No matter how much you see it in practice, no matter how much you show it to them, in practice, until they feel the sting of that in a big game in that moment. So there were things that we really broke down on. I mean, we broke down defensively, we broke down offensively in a lot of ways. Some of our players that we were really, really, really counting on really struggled, probably more mentally than physically. And we came out of that game and took all those things and went home, and the team was really, really ready and receptive to these are the changes that have to be made. We have to be better, defensively at these areas. We have to execute better offensively in these areas. We have to be tougher in these areas, So you play games like that because you want to find those things out. And that was a huge, huge benefit for us. And we have players that want to get better every day, and that was the impetus that we needed that particular game.
We'll take our next question from the back.
Hey, Geno, Chantel Jennings with The Athletic. You said you quit 5 times a year and then you go to practice the next day and you decide not to quit. What is it that you can't quit? Like, is there a consistent moment or experience in those practices that keeps drawing you back?
Yeah, when you get to be 40 years in one place and my age, you have a lot of people on my payroll, I probably got more people in my world collecting checks from my house than come from the federal government, which you might not be getting any of those anymore either, so I don't know. I think there's a lot of people counting on me to keep doing what I'm doing at UConn, on my team, on my staff. I think they're counting on me to keep going and keep impacting and keep doing what we do. My staff are relentless recruiters, and they're relentless in individual workouts with our players. So they're committed to what are we doing now, what are we doing next week, what are we doing next year, what are we doing for the future, with no intention whatsoever going, well, what if he's not here? No, they expect me to be here. And it's been always really, really hard for me to, since I was a kid, to turn and not say no. Saying no is very, very difficult for me. No, I'm done. No, I'm not going to do that. And the minute my players don't respond, the minute I can't get my team to respond in the way I want them to respond, then I'll know that's the time to walk away. And right now, I'm still getting the response that makes me feel like I'm relevant. When I stop becoming relevant, it's time to go. Maybe because the kids change all the time. Like if it was like your kids, let's say I had to coach them for 18 years like you do with your kids. Oh, I'd have been out a long time ago. Luckily, I only have to do it for 4 years. Just when I get tired of them and they get tired of me, bye, congratulations, happy trails.
We'll go to the back.
Jen Hatfield with the Next. Coach, with Caitlin coming in to you this season after playing for Carla, I'm curious if there are things you've noticed about her this season that either remind you of Carla or that just kind of show that she's been coached by Carla.
She's definitely a product of a program that values the same things that we value and coaches and teaches the same things that we teach. Maybe in a different way, but still, it's the same. It's the same. She's not afraid to use her voice. She walks into a situation that any kid would be intimidated by. I'm walking into UConn and I'm got Paige Beckers over here and I got AZ Fudd over here and I got this guy here, and now I'm going to walk in and I'm going to go, okay, give me the ball, I'm in charge. It takes a lot of guts to be able to do that. And one thing that I know the Princeton players are, they're tough and they're full of guts because they have to be to get to where they want to go. And she was the go-to player on that team and was okay coming here and taking a smaller role. And yet the other day when it was time for a big role against USC, she stood up and embraced it. And I'm not surprised by any of that. That's who she is, and actually, to be honest with you, that's who Carla was as a player. Although Caitlin way more vocal than Carla was when Carla was a player, but I've trusted Caitlin Chen since the minute she walked on campus.
We'll go to the back in the red, and then we'll come back up to the front.
Coach Ben Greco of the Pensacola News Journal. You talked about players changing over the last, however many years, but how have you, since the last national championship, have you changed as a coach, whether that's adapting to players, adapting to college women's basketball? How have you changed as a coach?
Hopefully a little. Hopefully not a lot. I do think that I heard a great line. I don't know if you ever saw the show or read the book, A Gentleman in Moscow. It's one of the best books I've ever read. And there was a line in that by Count Rostov where he said, times change, and it is the duty of gentlemen to change with them. So yeah, I've tried to change with the times, but I've not given up what I believe in and how I think things should be done and what my standards are and what my beliefs are in terms of how to get to those standards. That hasn't changed, and what kind of kid I want. So yeah, I've had to adapt to all the things that have changed in all the world of college sports, college basketball in particular. But I've also forced the players that come to Connecticut to adapt to me and not think that they're going to go to college and stay the same and have me adapt to them more than I wanted them to adapt to me. And it's the way I always talk to them. You came here because we have something you desperately want. So you have to adapt to what we do in order to get that. And then we will accommodate you as you are adapting to a point. And we work together. I make them change, they help me change.
Front row.
A little bit.
Hi, Coach. Maya Ellison with Rising Media Stars. The one thing that stands out about this team is their heart. And a part of that is your better half, Miss Kathy. I want to know, how has her heart and her influence really helped the girls this season, and especially for some of the young players?
It's been like that from the very beginning. There were times when players would show up at my house and I'd be like, what are you doing here? And they'd come to have dinner with Kathy, and I would just leave. I would go find something to do. Anytime I'm home, anytime I'm losing it over something that is happening with, some of the players, she's the first one to take their side of it and make it less personal. Like, why are you thinking that? Why are you feeling like that? You need to put yourself in their shoes more and see what are they feeling? What are they thinking? Always make me look at it from their point of view, and always road trips, after games, she's their biggest cheerleader. She's the one in the locker room whenever to celebrate. And, I don't think any coach or anyone in the world that's trying to accomplish something that's really, really difficult and where it takes you away from your family a lot, can possibly do it without someone that understands and is embracing it and is willing to be a willing partner and all that. So, her relationship with all my players, all my teams, is pretty special.
What a great note to end on as we are at time. I want to thank you for your time today, Coach, and best of luck tomorrow.
Thank you.